Week 2 of the fantasy football season, and here's tight end start sits every matchup. Thursday Night Football, Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. Dalton Kincaid, I know he had a bad game in week 1 where he only had one catch for 11 yards, but I believe he'll get going in this offense. We saw last season he got off to a slow start, and this week in a potential shootout, especially on Thursday night, where usually those are high-scoring games. I would start Kincaid this week to the Dolphins. Jonnu Smith, Durham Smythe, tight end really has been part of this Dolphin offense over the last few seasons in terms of catching the football and making plays. So with week 1, those tight ends not doing much. They're both sits. New Orleans Saints at the Dallas Cowboys. Taysom Hill, he got some work in that game, but we didn't see enough to put him in the starting lineup each and every week. So we got to wait and see what Hill does as the week goes on. It's a tougher matchup as well at the Dallas Cowboys, one of the better defenses in the league. And Taysom Hill's a sit. Jawan Johnson is sit. I know he found the end zone, and Foster Monroe is in concussion protocol for this New Orleans Saints team. But it's tough to trust anyone week in and week out on this New Orleans Saints team. But if Jawan Johnson goes out there once again and has a decent performance, maybe he's someone that could work his way up the rankings and possibly be a starter as the year goes on. Cowboys, Jake Ferguson, he left with a knee injury. We'll see if he's going to play in this game for the Dallas Cowboys. And if he does, he's going to be a start because I still believe he's the number 2 option in the passing game. Behind CeeDee Lamb is Jake Ferguson. Dak Prescott have a good rapport, and it's a decent matchup this week. And if he's out of the lineup, Luke Schoonmaker will be the starting tight end. And obviously not much under the belt of the career Schoonmaker as being a second or third string tight end throughout his NFL career. So this week, if Ferguson's out, Schoonmaker's a sit. And if he does play Ferguson, he's a start. Vegas Raiders at the Baltimore Ravens. I would give Brock Bowers a start. Week 1, I thought he looked pretty decent. And this is going to be a game, once again, where Vegas is trailing early and often. They have no choice but to throw the football a majority of the ball game, especially in the second half. So Brock Bowers, I've said it a lot in the preseason, he's an athletic tight end. He's going to cause mismatches. And this week at Baltimore, I think a lot of garbage time points could be a possibility. Mark Andrews, it was a bad week 1 for him. He still has to get his legs and his wind under him, no doubt about it. But I think Andrews, you drafted him in that 4th, 5th round range. And after 1 week, you're not going to give up on him, so he's a start. And same with Isaiah Likely. He was undrafted, and he came out and had the monster performance. 9 catches, 111 yards, and a touchdown, and almost had the second touchdown at the end of the game, but his toe was on the line. So Isaiah Likely, he's moving up in the pecking order in the offense, and no doubt about it. And he was a hot waiver wire pickup and possibly the best pickup of the week for fantasy owners. So I think it's serviceable that Baltimore could run 2 tight end sets, and both these tight ends have fantasy value. We saw it a couple of years ago with Jonnu Smith, Kyle Pitts, and I think we could see it again this season with Likely and Mark Andrews, because besides Zay Flowers, there's not much in the receiving game for Baltimore behind them, besides Rashad Bateman and Nelson Aguilar, and obviously those players aren't going to play tons of snaps. So both tight ends I like as a start. This week game, New York Giants at the Commanders. Daniel Bellinger, starting tight end over there in New York. He didn't do much, and there's no one you could really trust in this offense, maybe besides Singletary, and obviously Malik Neighbors I would trust week in and week out. But Bellinger, we have to see a lot out of him for him to be a start. He's a sit. Zach Ertz, Ben Sinnott for the Commanders, their sits. Jaden Daniels, pretty much it was the run game for the majority of the game for the Commanders, with Jaden Daniels having a good game on the ground, Brian Robinson looking good, and Austin Eckler being the leading receiver out of the backfield. So this week versus New York Giants, I think we're going to see more of the same, a lot of running from Washington, and both these tight ends are sits. Los Angeles Chargers at the Carolina Panthers. Hayden Hurst, he had a couple catches in the week 1 ball game. Will Disley was in some plays as well, but they're both tight ends you can't trust right now. You have to see a lot of these players as the weeks go on. Even though I know Justin Herbert, he's like targeting the tight end throughout his NFL career the last couple of years with Gerald Everett and Donald Parham in the red zone. But week 1, we didn't see much. I know this is a great matchup on paper, but Hayden Hurst and Will Disley, they're not really tight ends on the radar right now. Unless you're in the deepest of leagues, Carolina Panthers, Tommy Trimble, Javion Sanders. This hits for me. Trimble, he was banged up in this ball game. And this Panther offense, besides maybe Deontay Johnson on some weeks and Chuba Hubbard on rare weeks, don't really have any fantasy players who are going to be in that starting lineup. So this week in a matchup versus a solid Charger defense, they're both sits. Indianapolis Colts at the Green Bay Packers. Kyle Granson's a sit for me in this one. The Colts, they really haven't got the tight end week in and week out, consistently targets and making plays over the last few seasons. Even going back to Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, the last few seasons, Jacoby Brissett as well, they didn't really target the tight end. And Kyle Granson in this offense where they want to push the football down the field like we saw in week 1, with Pierce catching long balls and Adonai Mitchell getting opportunities. He's a sit for the Packers. Now with Malik Willis at quarterback, no one really has value besides Jaden Reed in that offense. Luke Musgrave, he didn't do much in week 1. Tucker Kraft was the leading tight end, but he didn't still put up numbers as well, so they're both sits. San Francisco 49ers at the Minnesota Vikings. George Kittle, was a quiet week 1 for him, but I think in week 2 in a better matchup after a tough matchup versus the New York Jets, and it was the Jordan Mason show. George Kittle bounces back and has a good ball game indoor. The Vikings sees a start. Johnny Munt, there's not much going on in this Viking offense besides Justin Jefferson and Aaron Jones. It looks like will really have week in and week out value for fantasy owners. So Johnny Munt is a sit. Once TJ Hawkinson comes back, even though that's weeks away, he'll be an option, obviously. Even in an offense with Sam Darnold as a quarterback, Cleveland Browns at the Jacksonville Jaguars. David Njoku, I don't expect him playing. He was in a walking boot, high ankle sprain. He's week to week, the Browns say. And Jordan Akins, he'll step in and be the starting tight end. He's not going to be a starter for me. This Brown offense really can't move the football. Besides David Njoku and Jerome Ford, no one else did anything in that week 1 loss. So Akins is a sit. Evan Ingram a start. I know he didn't do anything in that week 1 loss at the Miami Dolphins, but Evan Ingram, he's still a tight end that could go out there and make plays. This week, I know it's a tougher matchup versus the Cleveland Browns, but I think Trevor Lawrence, he always likes targeting Ingram, and they have a great rapport. And last season, he had over 100 catches, so I don't think Ingram's going to fall totally off. And this week, I still would put him in the starting lineup. Seattle Seahawks at the Patriots. Noah Fant, he didn't do much in week 1. He's 4th or 5th option in the passing game. We got to see a lot out of him to be someone you could trust. He's a sig. And for the Patriots, they're going to be a team that's going to want to run the football and play good defense. Hunter Henry, he didn't do much in week 1. Even though as the season goes on, I think he can have some values, Hunter Henry. But this week versus Seahawks, I don't see it. He's a sit. New York Jets, Tennessee Titans. The Jet offense looked way better than it has in years past in the week 1 loss at the San Francisco 49ers. And Tyler Conklin, he's going to be the 3rd or 4th option in this Jet passing game. Obviously, it's led by Garrett Wilson. Then we saw Allen Lazard, former teammate of Rodgers for many years in Green Bay, have a solid game and get targets. And then Tyler Conklin in garbage time with Tyrod Taylor made some plays. But this week at Tennessee, which is still a pretty decent defense, he's a sit in this one. Chika Kwango, I know he found the end zone in week 1, but this is a tough matchup, and it's tough to trust anyone on this Titan team so far, besides maybe Calvin Ridley and Tony Pollard. So Kwango, he's a sit. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Detroit Lions. Cade Otton, he's the 4th or 5th option in this offense for this Tampa Bay Buc team. Some weeks he'll have some good weeks and find the end zone because he's a big 6'7", 6'8" target. But this week at the Lions, I don't expect Cade Otton to do much. He's a sit. Sam Laporta, I know, was an off game for the most part in the Lions passing game, where their running game led them to victory with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. But Sam Laporta is a great tight end. This week it's a better matchup, I believe, versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a potential shootout. So I would give Laporta the nod. Los Angeles Rams at the Arizona Cardinals. Colby Parkinson now, he's going to step up and get a bigger role in this offense for a few reasons. Obviously, Higbee, he's out a few more weeks on the PUP list, so Parkinson's the starting tight end. And also now with Puka Nacua out for 4 weeks as well, at minimum with the knee injury. Someone's going to have to step up. I know they got DeMarcus Robinson, Tyler Johnson, but Colby Parkinson, he had a decent week 1, 4 catches, 47 yards. So this week, with Puka Nacua out and then a potential shootout at division rival, the Arizona Cardinals, I actually have confidence Parkinson could go out there, have a decent performance. He's a start. Trey McBride a start. He was a top 3-4 tight end drafted in fantasy leagues. And last week it was a down game overall for the passing game for Arizona with a pretty tough matchup at Buffalo. So after coming off of 5 catches, 30 yards, I think he bounces back in a big way and is a start. McBride, Pittsburgh Steelers at the Denver Broncos. Pat Freiermuth is a start for me in this one. He didn't have a great game. I just believe a lot of tight ends were off in week 1 and really didn't do much. So Pat Freiermuth in this matchup at the Denver Broncos, where I believe he's the number 2 target in the passing game, is Freiermuth. Could go out there and put up top 12, top 15 numbers. He's a start. Greg Dulcich That's it for me in this one. Dolchik, he didn't do much, but I think as the year goes on, and obviously Bo Nix, a rookie quarterback, their security blanket and best friend is the tight end position. So I think Greg Dolchik, in a tough matchup, obviously isn't going to do much, and tough to trust as a sit. But keep an eye on him this season. Cincinnati Bengals, Kansas City Chiefs, Mike Gesicki dropped the ball in the end zone. We was ruled a touchdown, but obviously overturned. And Gesicki's a big target and someone that definitely can help Joe Burrow in this offense. But we need to see weeks in a row for Gesicki to be an option in fantasy football. So right now, he's a sit in a tough matchup at Kansas City. Travis Kelce's a start. I know he had a bad week one in that ball game was Kelce versus the Baltimore Ravens, but this is a better matchup versus Cincinnati Bengals, and it's rare to see Kelce have two bad games in a row. So this week, I would have full confidence with Kelce in the lineups. Chicago Bears, Houston Texans, Sunday Night Football. Cole Kmet, like I said, coming into the year, he was going to be a fourth or fifth option in this offense, and in week one, this offense just didn't do anything but pulled out the victory with their special teams and defense making big plays. So Cole Kmet, his ceiling is low. Caleb Williams, we'll see if he could turn things around. I know it was 1 week, but Caleb Williams, he didn't look great. And Cole Kmet was rarely targeted. He's a sit. Dalton Schultz, a borderline option. And the thing with Schultz as well, he's a fourth or fifth option in this passing game behind Stephon Diggs, behind Nico Collins, and also Joe Mixon out of the backfield. Got a lot of work and put up a big game in week one. So Dalton Schultz, he's a touchdown dependable tight end. And this week, he's a borderline option at best. Monday Night Football and final game of the week. Atlanta Falcons at the Philadelphia Eagles. Kyle Pitts, he was the only Falcon player on the offense in the passing game that did anything. He found the end zone. And Kirk Cousins, we know, always likes to target the tight end. We've seen it the last couple of years with TJ Hawkinson in Minnesota. And I think we're going to see Pitts be decent this season. So right now, Kyle Pitts, he's a start for me in this one. And Dallas Goedert, a start as well, where he actually had 7.10 fantasy points as Dallas Goedert. One of the better tight ends, believe it or not, in week one in points in PPR leagues. And this offense, I know he's a fourth or fifth option, but this offense just spreads the football all around. And Dallas Goedert, over the last few seasons, has been a productive tight end. So that's tight end start sits every matchup. Week two of the fantasy football season.